start to answer the gentleman's question first. Thornton Street has been on the radar screen, 16th East or 59 Highway East. That, Park, Kennedy are some old concrete streets. They still got a fairly decent base in them, but they are crumbled up and there's different elevations basically come up. We have looked at those. We have not come up with an economical answer. Basically, when we do the overlay every year, we are on a budget. Roughly $175,000 is a ballpark figure. It's always different every year. Obviously, with oil prices the last few years, it doesn't go as far as when it was first voted in '95. Lately, we've been paying $60, $70, sometimes $80 a ton. When we first started, it was down to $25 a ton. So basically, we're getting a third as much as we used to go around. We have looked at putting a thin overlay on those streets, asphalt. If you would, the reflective cracking would be there in a year, and you have the same ride with that. If you go up, because you should only put it on real thin, 3/4 of an inch with a high strength. If you went off any higher than that, people's driveways, trying to fill in the gutter line, you'd fill it, you block water in everybody's driveways, which causes a problem. If you do try to get a company to come in and mill it, to try to get the elevations down like we do on a lot of the overlay on an asphalt street, on that concrete, the milling cost gets so astronomical. It's really almost cheaper just to go in and cut the street up and start over on that. On 15th Street, we have really never looked at doing the whole 15th north and south. We have looked at areas. At 15th, when we do the east-west streets, we will work on some intersections for the drainage, where the water goes west and east through there to try to improve those. Not right or wrong. Typically, 17th Street and 15th Street, if you drive down north and south with 59 Highway in the middle, most people just come out to 59. Neither one of them is the best street to go north and south on, especially for Main Street south. It's not good or bad or even north, that's just not traditionally the way it's been on that. And then the intersection work that's going on 26th and Kennedy, I believe is where you're at.
Oh, okay.
There it should be on the west side. Basically, Heckert got the overlay bid this year. They were supposed to have started today. They showed up last Thursday and backed off for 1 week. We, or Heckert, I say we will be bringing some change orders to you on some little things, but that was one of them. We went out and looked at Debbie, myself, at a drainage problem on Kennedy. Went out and took some elevation shots. Basically, you can't get the water to run. It runs from 25th to 26th. Some of the neighbors, especially on the south side, have dug out their ditches overly deep, and basically they just got a holding pond. There's no elevation to get the water out onto 26th Street. There's a pipe there on the corner, but the water just has to run uphill to get to it. Take some shots. There is some fall to 26th Street, but you have to take 1.5 feet off of Kennedy, that hump where you turn up to it, which is going to be a pretty good project. So this is in preparation to the mill and overlay on 26th Street to get the water, a gutter line, so we have that base elevation that when we do Kennedy to try to improve the drainage, that we can go off of and work to the east to improve that.
So as part of Kennedy, half of it goes to the 25th side for drainage and the other half goes to 26th side, is it?
It all goes to 26th Street.
All goes to
It all goes to 26. Now the neighbors on the north, on that side, it will come down like the sidewalk, and it all falls in the street in the ditch that area. Now, you're also losing elevation going to the north.
Right.
So a lot of the residential houses, when it gets around them, it is going to go straight back toward the alley to the north in that area.
Right. Yeah, we had pool problems back behind between Kennedy and here.
Yes, yep.
Is there gonna be as much of a crown on 26th Street as there is now, or?
There will be basically the same crown. It'll go back basically like it is right now, yes, the elevations. So hopefully I hit everybody's on the other answer, okay, on that. I know we never get the answers that anybody wants. It's all dollar. And people do call in, and we have a rough ongoing list upstairs of people that have requested their streets to be overlaid or redone. There's a lot of them to be reconstructed and overlaid, and we kind of just go from that. We go through the dollar amount. It's always dollar driven. So with that being said, Heckert did get the overlay bid this year. for roughly a price of $63, $63.67 a ton. The milling is going to cost us $2.48 a square yard to get done on these. The ones that has been accepted by the commission at this time is Corny from 13th to 14th Street, which is kind of finishing up some work. When Corny was overlaid a few years back, and then when we done 13th Street to kind of tie those two together. Durr from 15th to 16th, where we have some main breaks a few years ago to try to patch those. South 31st and South 31st from Appleton to Morton. Morton from South 31st to 32nd Street, which is also where we done the water line and they didn't get finished up last year to get those milled and resurfaced. The one we just talked about, North 26th from Gabriel to North Boulevard, gets a mill and an overlay. Southern Avenue from 10th to 15th gets a mill and an overlay. The one caveat to that is on Southern, I know Derek's crew's got some work to go in on some water lines to get put in underneath some crossings before we get in there. And on Southern, where it's already existing curb and gutter, we are milling 2 inches down, but we're just milling from the gutter out 5 foot or whatever the width of their milling machine is all that's getting milled on both the north and south side of that. Because it is so up and down, there's going to be a leveling force put in there to try to get the crown, and it is wide enough you can establish more of a crown on that street to get the water to flow to the edges, because a lot of it now just puddles in the middle of it.
Right.
Where the manholes settle. Adjust the manhole heights, adjust the water valve heights, and then we're, like I said, we're going to mill down 2 inches on the edges, and then we're going to come back in with a 2-inch overlay and fill in the edges and put more of a crown in there to get the water to the sides of that 4-lane street in there.
Is Derek crew gonna be given enough time to get that work done prior to them being there to mail
If the
on?
weather cooperates, well.
Yeah.
I know the crews today, they're supposed to start actually tomorrow or the
Oh,
next day.
okay.
Yeah, so Jamie, like I said, it's Derek's fault if that doesn't.
Drew, you on the bus.
You want to talk to him, you sit back there.
What a friend for.
The other is Central Avenue, from Crawford to Stevens, and then we did pick up the one alternate out of 4, which is Durr Avenue from 32nd Street to 28th Street. Now, we did award them because we have a time factor that the contractor has 2 months to get this done, and there's a $1,000 a day memory serves penalty on this, and we didn't want the time to be counted beginning. These are the streets that get milled and overlaid, basically, on this year's program. Briggs from 32nd to 35th, the city crews need to go in there and finish the drainage work and put the pipes in. That's kind of on us when we think they're getting close, and it's a little bit like the pond, it dries up to get in there and do the work. Was an alternate with them. We plan on bringing it back to you, and well, we got to and finish that work up. North 30th Street from Main to Crawford is another, and it's an old brick street that's just completely gone, curb and gutter, and the bricks, there's no base that we need to go in and completely gut and put the base back in and have ready for the overlay and establish some drainage in there. So that's one we plan on bringing back to you to be selected afterwards, but we need to work with the contractor, and they've indicated they'll be glad to work with us, and we don't have